Hey guys, it's RobJ here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a Outworld build in a Ants Australia acrylic medium Outworld. There will also be another build from my girlfriend where she'll be using a Ant Kit Outworld, which is going to be coming in a few weeks. So let's move down to my build. For my build I used a nice cheap bag of white grout. This is tile grout. I also got some aquarium sand, a small amount, and I also found various different bits and bobs from outside. So this here is multiple different twigs I found, and I used PVA glue, non-toxic, to glue it in various little places here and there to build it up into this nice large crinkly branch, a little bit like, you know, tumbleweed or like a dead plant that you might find, say, in the desert. Then I also got some modelling materials, some cream limestone chippings, and I then started thinking about sort of plants I wanted, and as the theme I was going for was desert, a succulent like a cactus or something was perfect. So I ordered this from China, nice and cheap, and just had to wait for it to be delivered. So finally, I thought I was going to do something a bit different, and I've always fancied doing this with an Outworld. I picked a nice photograph and then I ordered it to be printed. So I'm going to be using this as like a background that will attach on the outer side of the rear of the Outworld, and will create essentially a full background, a bit like what you see in aquariums. So that's my equipment, and basically what we did is we both set ourselves a budget of £5 that didn't include the grout or sand, so a decoration budget of £5. Mine actually came in at about £4.80 for my decorations and photograph, etc. So let's move on to the actual build. As you see here, I'm not really measuring anything out, I'm just getting a nice large amount of grout out, because when you add the water to this really will thin out and reduce in size. There isn't any specific amounts. If you make it too runny, you can add more to it and stir it up. If you make it too thick, you can add more water and stir it up. Essentially what you're looking for is melted ice cream. That's the best description. I know other people like to say toothpaste. I think toothpaste is too thick. So you're looking for melted ice cream. That's my best description of what you're looking for. And this is my example, because it pours in nice and easily. Now, you do have to fiddle around with it to get it to the right consistency. Just keep adding a bit of grout, mix it up, a bit more dry grout, mix it up, until you get the right bit. Just melted ice cream or a runny toothpaste. That's what I found in Outworld building, and ease is the best. And then I personally always use a kitchen knife. Just find a nice cheap set of them from like places like B&M or whatever, and you can use it for your DIY. You don't have to take your mum's cutlery. So basically you just use this to help the grout. Right now it's runny enough to move itself around. So what you do is you just push it from the middle in the directions, and it'll fill in the gaps for you. You can also use a quick zigzagging motion to get the grout to move the places it wouldn't ordinarily move. So all you got to do is put a little bit of grout in the direction you want to go, and the grout will actually sort of follow and level. It's a really therapeutic process of making your own Outworlds. I really must say I do enjoy making the Outworlds. I hardly do any nowadays, which is exactly why I thought I'd take this opportunity to make an Outworld build. Especially seeming I haven't done them on the channel for a very long time. So as you can see, you just got to be delicate and careful, and if you do touch your window, it's not the end of the world. Just stop where you are and just get some damp tissue paper and just wipe it off, and then a dry piece of tissue paper, and then continue on. This isn't going to dry up on you as long as you don't take too long. You'll have about 20-30 minutes safely before it'll be too dry for the sand to adhere properly. So you have a good 20 minutes of it in a runny enough state that you can clean your windows or fiddle around with hills. And if you want to make a hill, they're really rather easy. Once you've got your base layer in, you add more grout like I'm doing here, and once again you just use your knife or whatever, little spatula or whatever you're using, and you just send it to wherever you want it. If you want the entire back, you'd have to put a lot more grout in, but you just keep pushing and moulding, and you'll find it looks like, it's a never-ending battle, but believe me, it really does work. And that one corner was highly mounted. Now, I used to add a lot of grooving to my outworlds, but I must advise against that, because later on in the cleaning, if you have really a lot of grooves, like deep grooves and crevices, they'll be a nightmare for when the ants shove rubbish and other stuff in there. So have it hilly, have little dimples, various little lines, but a little tip is to not do anything too crevicy, because the ants will put stuff in it and it'll be harder to clean at a later date. As you can see here, I took the cactus plant, which had a metal, like a steel bendy cable inside, and I used bolt cutters to snip it off, and that's when the cactus fell apart into multiple various sections. And you just got to take your time at this point, really. There's no real rush, and you can just keep getting it right and keep stepping back and having a look. And if you have any problems like there, you see like little cactus, stones and stuff are your best friends for this. So are the walls of the Outworld. That sort of thing is always good for your plants. If one of the random leaves of your plant pushes up against the wall, it really does help it to stay straight in the drying process. Here you saw my little cactus was falling over, and I added a stone, and it's turned out perfectly. You just gotta really work out exactly where you want things, and if you've put it in and you put it into the grout, it's not the end of the world as long as you're still in this runny stage. You can get that out and rinse it under the tap and reposition it again and again and again. But once you are happy, this is where you really commit to what you're doing. Once you finish your decoration, you want to add your stones as your final level, really. You can do this in pretty much any order. You could have done the cactuses or the stones last or first. There's no real method here. This is just my method, working my way down from largest to smallest decoration item. Here I'm just trying to work out, I want some sort of rocks to to mimic that the ants built under the rocks for their entrance to their ant nest. This is just for my own aesthetic purposes, and obviously isn't the truthful whatsoever. Once you're happy, you want to give it a heavy sprinkle of your sand, quite evenly and unevenly, so you get a nice coverage over your grout. You want to do this before the grout starts looking like it's getting a skin on the surface. If you get to that point, what you want to do is just have a little drip of water drop in, and then use your knife to give it a little swirl around. Just remove the skin from the top, and that will make it ready for more sand. As long as you haven't let it dry for too long, and you're at the same stage as me where it's still sticky without a skin on top of the grout, you can go ahead and just start sanding. You want to take your time here, and also don't just look at your outworld from one direction. The direction generally that people design their outworlds in is the way you're going to look at it for when it's finished. But do remember to turn the outworld sideways and all the way around so you're looking at it from the back, because you'll find that you might be missing large areas of exposed grout, and you don't want it to dry and you realise that you haven't sanded the entire place. Also, don't feel that this is your final look. Later on you'll hoover or tip out the loose sand, so just pile the sand in and make sure you get it in all the crevices. And this is not your final thing, so don't worry about covering up small stones or putting it all over your leaves. Whatever doesn't stick into the grout will be removed. You just want to make sure that it has a heavy coverage of all the corners. And just take your time here. Just, you want to be mindful of your windows and that sand. If there's like a sand dust on your window and you go to clean it at a later date, you could scratch it up. So you just want to take your time and make sure the sand generally lands away from your windows and onto some grout. And as you can see here, this is a nice little example of, as you can see, I just needed a slight bit of exposed grout touching up with a heavy tip of sand, just so you can get it just right. Once you get to this stage and you're happy with it, you've basically done your Outworld. And as you can see here, this was the look that I was actually going for. My girlfriend has actually described this to me as a bit plain and a bit empty, but I actually quite liked that idea, knowing I have to put a water tube in there, as well as cleaning in the future. I think my taste is a little bit different. You'll have to tell me in the comments, guys, do you like this design? And when the girlfriend's video is out, you'll be able to let us know in the comments which one you like the best. As for the background, I took a standard photograph as it was a much easier way to go about getting a background in the right size. If you've got, say, an aquarium background, it's going to be scaled way out of the ant's level. So all I did here was use a straight line blade to cut the photograph to roughly the right size, and then I used a double-sided foam tape to just give it a slight tacky corners and to fix it on. And that's really where we're up to now. Currently the Outworld is drying and I will be doing the hoovering stage off camera, but you will also see this Outworld in a future video when it gets merged with its first ants. But the final little thing that you've got to do, if your Outworld has an access port underneath, you want to have blocked that off before pouring the grout with anything that roughly fits inside it but you can get out. Now once your sand's been on about 10-20 minutes, about 30 minutes after the initial pour, this will be the right time to pull it out. It's still sticky enough for new sand to be added, but not runny enough that it's going to run into your hole when you pull it out. As you can see here, that it's turned out quite nicely, and all I got to do now is give it a little rub around the sides to take away the sharp edges and give it a nice blast of sand. Not all sand's going to stick at this point later on, but it will be better than just straight after pulling it out. And this is the final result of the sand pour. So that has been my Outworld build. You'll have to let me know if you like it or if it's inspired you in any way. Maybe the background. Maybe some of you want to try having your own background made. It's really simple. Just measure up your Outworld, pick a photograph from Google Images and go to your local printers and make sure you buy the image slightly larger than your Outworld, and you can trim it down to size. This has always been something that I thought would look really good, and this is the first time I've had a chance to try it out. I really do hope you've enjoyed this video and that if it helps you at all to make your own, or just inspires you to thinking about making your own, please drop a comment down below. I love to read through my comments. And if you're not already subscribed, why not hit that subscribe button? We do ant videos, and then the next week it's normally a review video followed by ants. That's the switching we do. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.